My name is Tomie Lenear, and I just graduated this May 2014, undergraduate degree, linguistics major. My focus was neurolinguistics, which is language and the brain. So a little bit of cognitive science, but I'm a linguistics major. I was also the lead representative and financial agent for the Student Parent Association Student Group, SPAR. And I was also a advisor to the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Harry LeGrand, for 2013 and 2014. I did a lot with the student parent community, and yeah, to backtrack, how I got to Cal is in 1996. I dropped out of City College because I was under the impression that I just wasn't good enough for City College. A lot of things, I didn't have any resources at home or at City College, and I'll be honest about that. So from that point on, I did two things. I didn't go to school. I went to work as a security guard, and I got tired of that job, but I felt like I was unemployable and like not good for anything else but hip hop. So I became a hip hop artist officially. My stage name was T Cash. I started off as a gangster rapper, and I also had a little time with local media. So you may or may not have heard me on KPFA, KMEL during the late 90s, and VJTV. One of the main things that I might be still known for, which I seriously doubt because it was that long ago, was in 1995 and 1996, I was a reporter on a TV show called First Cut on KRON TV. All of that being said, I went through a period in life where there was no opportunity for me to return to school, and honestly, I didn't want to. I was scared. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the intellectual capacity to go. So everything at the time, late 90s up until late 2000s, it just wasn't there. What helped me in the very beginning was my leap of faith from agnosticism to Orthodox Islam. And from there, I became surrounded by a community that not just encouraged me to go back to school, but actually showed me the physical process of like, this is what you apply for. This is how you apply. This is all of the different techniques that you need to display to get to City College, let alone Cal. Once that was done, and I was already rooted in City College, the idea of going to a four-year university didn't really pop up until the end of my time at City College, getting the AA degree in liberal arts from Berkeley City. I applied to three schools, UC Berkeley, San Francisco State, and Cal State East Bay. Like a lot of people from my community, African American / Asian Pacific Islander from Oakland, I didn't believe that I was good enough for UC Berkeley. So, but I applied anyway, and I just got ready to go to Cal State East Bay or San Francisco State, you know what I mean? And I remember the day I got accepted, it still did not hit me, like the magnitude of like what just happened. Not because of like, I didn't care. It's just literally I didn't know. Again, growing up where I grew up and coming from where I come from, as a child, a teenager, and a young adult, there was no such thing as college, let alone UC Berkeley. So when UC Berkeley called, I basically just like shrugged my shoulders. And it wasn't until I talked to a couple of other people who said, look, man, you just got accepted into Cal. You should go. Now, stop right there. If I were to go back in time and talk to the old me, I would tell myself, and you, whoever you are listening, you just got into UC Berkeley, or you might just be starting, or you're still there, or whatever. Here's some key things to remember. Number one, you are going to be one amongst many. Okay? So, your name is going to turn into a number. You're going to figuratively and literally stand in longer lines, and you're going to probably believe that no one cares about you anymore. Now, I wish I can say, no, people do still care about you, but listen to me, please. The people who work for you at Cal don't have as much time as the people who worked for you at a city college to give you the type of specific attention that you need unless you ask for it. Okay, so why am I saying that? If you just got into Cal and you're getting ready to go in, or you're there and you're like, I'm struggling, you got to be proactive. You have to speak up. You have to say something. If you don't feel like you're being heard, say something again. Say something to somebody else. If you think that that person that you said it again is still not listening to it. And that's, I think, very important coming into UC Berkeley. Because in City College and in other schools, a smaller demographic means more one-to-one interaction for you. That may not happen as fast or as, in terms of quality, as good as before. So get used to that. That's not a personal attack against you. That's not a neglect factor going on. It's just a bigger school, and you will not have literally the time or the people around you to give you what it is you need automatically like that unless you speak up. As far as the classes, they're purposely more difficult. It is competitive. It is the #1 public university in the world. No one can deny that. You're going to have to work harder. There is going to be more work. You're going to have to deal with the GSI factor. Now, a lot of people are scared to talk about the GSIs because they're afraid of GSIs, because once you come into Cal, because you think like, well, the GSI is the one grading my paper, so I don't want to speak negatively of my GSI because I don't want them I don't want that to taint my grade. I'll go on record and say, your grade is going to be your grade, no matter what your relationship with your GSI is. It's how well that you do ultimately that's going to get you a good grade. So what I'm saying is that even if you have issues with the GSI, there's still a way to receive due attention to your matters. If you have a bad relationship with the GSI, I'm being open and putting it out there. Sometimes GSIs have more expertise in some areas than others, culturally, ethnically, socially, economically. As a student parent, very hard to find student parent GSIs. That was another factor. You'll find a lack of empathy, not cruelty, but just apathy. Just an apathetic response to some of your needs, depending on who you are. That is not a personal attack on you. Again, this is a very big place, and you're not going to get the same attention that you got before. And that's not because you're a bad person. It's just because you're one person amongst many. I'm going to continue to speak openly and honestly about a lot of staff who will manipulate your fears in favor of their longevity as employees. If you are not specific about what it is you need and hold them accountable to providing you that, they work for you. You don't work for them. If you don't want to do a certain thing for a certain amount of time, if you don't want to engage in something, it's fine if you let them know in the very beginning, no. The reason why I bring that up is because you cannot chase someone else's dream. You have to be who you are, and you have to cultivate who you are. And again, that's the main point. And I think I'm speaking for the student community across the board, traditional, transfer, no matter what. And that's probably the biggest thing I could say. Don't be afraid to be afraid, but then know that the moment you find your confidence as a student at UC Berkeley, stick with it, cultivate it, it'll help you go a long way. No matter what major, what class, the moment you know who you are, why you're here, what your mission is, what your plan is, things become clearer. Now, let's talk about student parents. We are, I think, and this is just me speaking, the totality of the marginalized student. Because student parents encompass every other margin you could possibly think of. Yeah, you're African American. Are you a student parent, though? Yeah, you're disabled. Are you a student parent, though? Okay? Yes. Oh, goodness. Yes, you're a veteran. Are you a student parent? Imagine being every different marginalized student group you can possibly be and have children. Okay? So, what am I saying? The commonality is not the multiple margins, it's the student parent factor. And I think the beauty of the Student Parents Association and SPAR, the student group, when I was there serving as leader was the fact that, we respected each other's overlaps. I respected all the Cal vets. Cal vets respected all the African American students. African American students accepted all the single female students. Single females respected all the Cal dads who were single and or married. There was so much harmony during my 2 years, and I think that that's what solidified me being the advocate that I was for the student parent community, because when I came in, it was supposed to be the African American student community. A lot of people don't know that, but that did not happen the way that other people thought it would happen. As time went on, it just became a student parent thing. Specifically, I started sweeping up the floor, sorting bread and Whole Food donations in the fall of 2012 with Robert Sanchez, and that was the homie. And I had no idea that a year later I would be who I'd be. I just thought I'd be the cleanup guy. I didn't have any plans to be anything more than a student and possibly the cleanup guy. I had a very, I was known. There was notoriety for me as a person outside of Cal, and I just wanted to keep my head down and keep moving and just finish my work and get my degree and keep moving. But the times just called for something more than that. Now, what was that something? I realized that we were a little too dependent on donations relative to other student groups who I felt, and I'll go on record and say, probably still feel, had more than they deserved. Student parents deserved more than they had. However, when no one wants to address that in a setting that it could actually be addressed, then what are we stuck with? We're stuck with, nothing at all. After we go through what it is we barely have in the first place. Student parents cannot survive off of boxes of bananas that are rotten for a week at a time and bread. Okay, sorry. Maybe it's for other communities, but not us. And I got tired of that, and I started to help maximize the donation process. At the same time, I noticed that I started doing endurance events on behalf of the student parent community at Cal. The most known was the Berkeley Half Marathon last year, and that was congruent with the bigger topic that I'm leading into. After becoming the lead representative in the summer of 2013, and also the main director for the food donations, and the vice chancellor, one of the advisors, student advisors for the vice chancellor, there became an opportunity. An opportunity was given to me to address our issues with the vice chancellor and financial aid, and I just brought up the fact that all these other residential, on-campus local students have meal points and meal plans, and the students who have children don't. And I thought it was contradictory and hypocritical for us to be accepted for our parenthood and then decline food for it at the same time. It just didn't make sense. And I was very nervous and afraid that I would be figuratively exiled after I said what I said in front of everybody at that specific vice chancellor's meeting. And a couple of the students can vouch for me. So after that, an article came out in the Cal Alumni magazine called Hidden Hunger. That, plus the appeal to financial aid and the vice chancellor, along with the half marathon that me and Dustin Mooney and a couple other students ran on behalf of the student parent community to raise awareness to our food issues, influenced a food assistance program for student parents and other marginalized students, which came shortly thereafter. Now, let's transition into what's going to be, for me, life after Cal. Who I am as a person makes me think that as long as I showed up and produced something for the community after me to have, I don't look for recognition or credit like that. Anybody who knows me, I've received tons of emails, thank you, thank you, thank you. I've never played into it, not because I'm not aware of it, but again, I did not do that for me. That's not Tomie's food assistance program. That's student parents the student parents food assistance program. And I didn't plan to do anything but 2 years get my bachelor's degree, go back out in the real world, and pick up where I left off on some levels, and on some levels just discard a lot of things. And that's what I'm doing right now. Very fortunate. I'm actually a mental health counselor, a sub-clinician, which is basically you have therapists, and then you have the people under the therapists, which is me. And I do that with middle schoolers and high schoolers with psychiatric needs. And if there are any community that I feel is a marginalized group outside of the Cal, it would be them. And I'm going to say for everybody still struggling or looking for like some type of guidepost, like what's it like after? Excuse me, let me definitely look. That's a cue. Make it right. It is probably going to be a month full of just bliss, of like, finally, we're done. And then you move on. You move on. You take one step forward and you say, okay, it's over with. It was for me, it's over with. I had a great time. If I were to return, it wouldn't be as a student. But if I were to return, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. But in a nutshell, I can look back on it at this point already and say, hey, anybody who knows me, I showed up, I made a difference, and then I was gone. And I just really hope that, the time that I spent, as everybody's leader, made an impact. Because you guys definitely made an impact on me. And for anybody else looking at this and says, hey, man, maybe now he's explained what he's explained, I can do what it is that I wanted to do. That's my satisfaction right there. Because, again, I'm not worried about money. I'm fine financially. And I'm surrounded by good people, friends, family. And I really hope that whoever is watching this, you get your version of what I am as a Cal graduate. Big thing. You want to go from student to graduate. Okay? So I believe that over time, with this video, other student parent testimonials, you'll achieve what it is that you deserve to achieve. Congratulations.